So, the other day, my friends and I decided to test our courage by visiting this haunted place, even though it was off-season for such things. It all started because one of my friends mentioned a creepy house. Apparently, about 10 years ago, a family committed suicide there, and it's been abandoned ever since. The place is surrounded by overgrown trees and bushes. You can get up to the building, but the doors and windows are all boarded up, so you can't get inside. But last year, a guy we know broke a window there. Since then, he's been off work due to depression. A friend of his, who went with him, said the inside was a mess with black stains and mold everywhere. We knew roughly where it was, so we decided to check it out ourselves. We looked it up online and found a match for the address and the family suicide. That pretty much sealed the deal for us. We left around 10:30 p.m. in one car with 2 LED lights. In hindsight, we should have brought a camera, but we were too caught up in the excitement. It took about 40 minutes to get there. The house was hidden behind trees, but we could see the second floor from the road. The area felt off, but we pressed on. As soon as we got out of the car, we felt this oppressive atmosphere, like it was telling us not to come closer. There was a gap in the concrete wall just wide enough for 2 people. The place was so neglected that it was clear no one had been there for a long time. One of my friends took the lead, and we followed, approaching the house. The first door we reached was the back door, and it was also boarded up. We made some small talk, but mostly it was whispers of creepy and scary. We circled the house, looking for a way in, and found a window with broken boards and frosted glass that we could crawl through. We hesitated for what felt like forever before one friend said, "I'll go first." His eyes were shining from the LED light. He checked for hazards with his light and then crawled in. We watched as he disappeared inside. Just when he got his waist inside, he suddenly stopped and then bolted out, shaking and terrified. "What happened?" we asked. "Something's in there," he said, trembling. "A kid," he whispered. "Are you serious?" we all asked, not believing him. "I didn't see it, but I heard footsteps coming towards me," he said. We all looked around nervously, and then we saw the swing set moving by itself. No one was on it, but it was swinging as if someone was. Nearby, we spotted a Jizo statue, staring straight at the house. We ran back to the car and drove away. Back in college, I worked at a shopping mall during summer break. A senior colleague told me about something strange that appeared there. It was known as Ruby among the staff and would show up on certain nights after the mall closed. I asked if it was a foreigner, but my senior laughed and said, "It's not even human. It looks like a red version of that," pointing to a flyer for a Mayan artifact exhibition showing a green jade mask. According to my senior, if you were alone after closing, you'd sometimes feel a strange presence, and then suddenly, this red, gem-like figure with eyes and a mouth would appear near you. It didn't attack anyone and would just disappear after a while. Some security guards tried to follow it, but it vanished without a trace. The real trouble with Ruby was that after it appeared, there would always be a small fire somewhere. It wasn't caused by any employee, but things like matches, lighters, candles, or incense would catch fire near the sighting spot. Despite this, it was said that removing all potential fire sources wasn't allowed. The idea was to keep something that could easily be put out, ready just in case. One time, the manager got fed up with this superstition and decided to move all fire sources several kilometers away from the store, taking on the nightly security duties himself. Even then, Ruby was occasionally spotted, and one day the manager himself saw it. He was excited and told everyone, "If you can start a fire, do it." But the ruby he saw was black and rough, not red and shiny. The next day, the manager went missing. As the store was closing and the staff were finishing up, everyone noticed he was gone. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off, and they found a charred mannequin, which turned out to be the manager, identified by his watch and dental records. The cause of the fire was unknown, and his death was ruled a suicide. Later, an old security guard confided in my senior, saying Ruby was always suffering from heat and started fires to cool down. When the manager saw a black ruby, it might have been his way of expressing his suffering, leading to the manager's demise. This story came up again recently when I met my senior for dinner. I asked if Ruby still appeared, and he said it had, and that a new manager was taking serious measures to deal with it. Despite knowing the old stories, this new manager was determined to do something about it, having heard of another sighting recently. My senior asked if I knew anyone who could perform an exorcism or something because he didn't want to see another burnt body. He mentioned that Ruby felt like the remnants of a human, suffering eternally. The new manager decided to monitor all potential fire sources closely, even though Ruby's existence was accepted as real. The senior explained that the warm, oppressive air that followed Ruby sightings felt just like the air around the burned manager's body.